Good morning, word nerds. How are you this morning? If you don't already know, my name is Christine. I am a member of the Prairie Girls, and each and every weekday morning I bring you a new and amazing word of the day for you to add to your vocabulary so that you can sound smarticles. Good morning, smartphone. Welcome to a miserable, rainy morning in Northern California. Hello. So today we're doing a word of the day that we partner with the Heart Tribes, Prairie Girls and Heart Tribes. So today's word of the day is not a scholastic one, but it's one that I think, especially after what happened in Northern California last night, I think is really relevant. Today's word of the day is raw. R-A-W. Raw. Now, most of us know the word raw as uncooked. Right? Food that you haven't quite prepared yet. You have raw vegetables, raw meat, raw eggs, right? We understand raw. We also understand when you rub your fingers or when you get scratched or something, you rubbed something raw, right? You're wearing a backpack with a tank top on, you can rub your shoulder raw. But today, I want to talk about the strong or undisguised definition of the word raw. Strong or undisguised. I think what's going on in the world today, we all need to take a look at how raw we've become. How raw and undisguised and strong our opinions and our actions have become. I think when we talk about raw as strong and undisguised, and we talk about what happened at Berkeley last night, obviously, both sides became very raw. Hey, Coco Pranksters! I think everybody became very raw last night. I think their passion, their emotions, raw emotions. We saw raw emotion last night. And I think anger took over for many of them. Oh, you haven't heard yet? Okay. So, the UC Berkeley Republican Students Association paid $7,000 to have somebody come to their campus and speak. Now, it is somebody who is far right. His name is Milo Yiannopoulos. I can't pronounce his last name, but it's Milo. The hashtag is Milo on Cal or Milo in Cal. I think if you look at Twitter, it was trending last night, or you can just look up UC Berkeley. Anyway, he's alt-right. He works at Breitbart, which, as we all know, one of Trump's advisors came from Breitbart. So, he happens to be gay, and he also happens to be an alt-right Republican. I mean, he's far right, super far right, like off the charts far right. And he's been banned from Twitter because he incites some pretty raw emotion out of people with his tweets. So he was supposed to speak at UC Berkeley last night. So the alt-left decided to protest and try to get it shut down. Well, at first the protest was peaceful, and they were out there and they were speaking their mind and they were in their free space and everything was fine. And they were protesting his speech because they don't believe that his speech is free speech. They believe that his speech is hate speech. So they went out there to protest. Unfortunately, they got some bad seeds joining them. I think it became very overly publicized, and so a lot of bad dudes showed up. I'm calling them the anti-Trump ninjas, the ATN. They were dressed all in black. They covered their faces so that they couldn't be identified. And they showed up and they started throwing Roman candles, and they started throwing not just Roman candle firecrackers, but the ones where you have a bottle of alcohol and the rag sticking out of it, the firebomb thing. They had those. They had rocks. They were pulling the barriers down that were supposed to keep the venue safe and separate from the protesters. They tore the barriers down and started throwing them through windows. They destroyed every ATM in the square. And what was really weird to see on TV last night was while the protest was going on, the building itself was lit up in rainbow colors. And yet they were protesting it. What was about to happen. So right now, what a lot of the country sees is the Berkeley students basically through, well, not the Berkeley students, but the ATN, as I call them, the anti-Trump ninjas, through their violent acts, and they set fire to something as well, they were able to prevent free speech. And so there's a lot of raw emotion going on right now on both sides. A lot of people are very, very upset that UC Berkeley, the home of the free speech movement, is now a place where free speech didn't happen because the majority of the students there didn't agree with the speech that was happening. They view it as hate speech, and therefore it is hate speech, right? That's their opinion. We think it's hate speech, therefore it is hate speech because we're right. And then, of course, you know, the Republican students are very upset because they paid $7,000 and extra for the extra security to have this gentleman come in and speak, and now they didn't get to hear him. They didn't get to hear the other side of the story. They didn't get to hear an opposing view from their fellow students. So their emotions are very raw right now as well. So, yeah, I think when you look at what's going on in Northern California specifically, all over California, right? We're looking at CalExit. We're looking at what they're calling it, Mexico. Or one comedian called it Mexico, right? Just give us to Mexico. We want to be a sanctuary state. We should just become part of Mexico. That was one person's opinion. I'm not saying that's my opinion. It was a comedian's opinion. A political comedian said that, not me. But yeah, everything's really raw right now. And so having raw as today's word of the day should spark some really interesting conversations. And I'm very excited to see where the Heart Tribes as well as the Perry Girls go with this. So in some ways, I think being raw is good because I think it keeps us open. I think it keeps us genuine. And I think being genuine is very important. But I also think being overly raw can create a hypersensitivity. And it can take political correctness, which is important, but it can take it to a really weird place sometimes, like it did last night. So anyway, that's me being raw with all of you. And I hope I did a good job explaining what happened at UC Berkeley, both sides. I hope that I did you right and you got the whole story from both sides of the point of view. Because again, my point of view is not something that I'm going to discuss on here. Whether I think the Republican students were right or the demonstrators, the liberal students, I'm not going to say, right? Whether I think Milo's message is right or not, I'm not going to say. But I hope I did a good job explaining why UC Berkeley is a really good example of raw this morning. So be good to yourselves, be good to one another, have fun with the word of the day. I can't wait to see all of your scopes, and I will see you back here again tomorrow morning for another Word of the Day Fabulous Friday edition. Until then, bye now.